Today I started talking about this stuff. This is the state thing editorial I read about 3 days ago. About sex and about what's going on down here. I'm very, very much into states started killing off. Actually, I don't do this very often.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Pop a trash can's gonna become a camera. Sometimes. Oh, you were asking? Oh, well, I didn't know you were here. Okay. About 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Does this come down? You can push it down if you want to. I broke it. I'll be your honor, John.
Get to that.
Top on it. Got a turn her on.
There we go. Good evening. My name is Justin Flanagan. I'm a chief of the Chickamauga Nation. We're here at Franklin County.
Just hold it up a little.
We're here in Franklin County at Curtis Coffee Company in Charleston. We're here with Chief Kirsch and Dr. David Journey to talk about some of our findings in the area and potential points of interest in our archaeological study. This is Dr. David Journey.
Good day, everyone. My people caused much of the problem we deal with today. I'm descended from one of the right-hand men of William the Conqueror, also known as William the Bastard, the conqueror of England, the Normans, Norman law, which is what we deal with today, the residues of Norman law. English common law transformed into American jurisprudence. Descended from Vikings, my people have always taken other people's lives, liberty, and property. And as when I became an anthropologist, I said, well, and a psychologist, I said, I need to do something better than my ancestors. And as a young man, I fell in love with Cherokee Indians. And I have followed the bowl every step of the way from Muscle Shoals to Rusk County, Texas, where he was assassinated just a mile or so from my late wife's homestead near Lindale, Arkansas, near Lindale, Texas, on the Neches River. While at SMU, where I did my PhD, we conducted a lot. We were requested by many of the archaeologists to find low-density sites, the low-density sites of immigrant Native Americans into Texas, because no one could find them. Louis Benford in Virginia had a hard time finding the Nottoway until he went to an excavation site, and then he found them. The Nottoway, with the Meherrin, Tuscarora, are also Cherokee. Chickamauga are with this group. The three tribes of the Cherokee are with this group, and many of them remain mortal enemies, even the Nottoway, the Meherrin, and the Tuscarora. The warfare was different for Native Americans than it became with my people. We burn you to the ground, and if you're burned to the ground, we dig you up. We don't let it stop. The militia did this to the Chickamauga. They ran them out of Tennessee. They sought refuge with the Mexican and Spanish governments and got it in Missouri, Arkansas territory. They were given land grants. Principal leader, white leader of the Cherokee with the bowl, Richard Fields, bought land in Missouri, Crowley's Ridge. He bought land adjacent to Sylvanus Phillips, the founder of Helena. In Louisiana, he bought land. It was called the first white man in Webster Parish, Louisiana. They didn't know he was Chickamauga. He went on to Texas. Unfortunately, the Mexican government, at the instigation of Poinsett, Secretary of War for the United States, ordered Colonel Bowles, Mexican colonel, to assassinate Richard Fields and John Dunn Hunter, two of the major leaders of the Fredonian Rebellion. Many of you may not know of the Fredonian Rebellion, but it led directly to the Texas Revolution. Had it not been for the Cherokees, you would not have Texas. But what did the Texas Rangers do? They burned the Delaware villages and they exterminated all the Cherokee, Chickamauga they could in Texas. So, in Oklahoma, 18 Chickamauga signed the Articles of Union with the Cherokee Nation. There were 18,000 Chickamaugas in Arkansas. Where did they go? Are they all in the ground? No. They're standing in front of you today. They are here. They have not left. And they still respect the treaty obligations of the United States of America, who does not respect their treaty obligations. We are ongoing a project that it goes from New York State to Mexico. We're finding very significant patterns in grave mortuary architecture. Peggy Guccione from the University of Arkansas has developed a technique, refined a technique that is used in New England on gravestone studies and all the many, many, many rock walls and rock features they have in New England, using lichens, the oldest living organism on our planet. Actually, 3 organisms that join together and form a 4th. They grow just like a tree, incrementally, and can be dated. And we are now collaborating this. We find stones with dates on them. We measure the lichens, and we're within a couple of years of the dates on those stones. And all Chickamauga stones are unmarked. Why were they unmarked? If you spoke Cherokee in Arkansas, your land would be taken away. The land commissioner would come say, you do not have right to land in this state. If you're in Missouri, you don't have right to be in Missouri, and you will go to jail. Indian Territory. Indian Territory resides where the people live. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. I'm done.
That's Dr. David Journey. I'd now like to introduce you to our Metal Chief, Chief Jimmy Kirsch.
If you go into the press pass package that we had, go onto our website, ChickamaugANation.com, you'll see the exact things that we are going to be talking about over the next few minutes. And that is that we are a federally recognized tribe. Even though that the state governor says that that's not true, we can actually prove it through acts of Congress and Supreme Court rulings. The first is the Indian Reorganization Act, item number 19. It says that an Indian is a member of a tribe that is recognized to be under the jurisdiction of the United States. In 1785, our tribe signed a treaty with the United States stating that the Congress of the United States had jurisdiction over all of our issues with the country. And so we have been under the jurisdiction of the United States since 1785. Then in 1968 is the Indian Civil Rights Act. In one of the very first sentences, it defines an Indian as a person who is a member of a tribe who is under the jurisdiction of the United States and that is able to self-govern. Well, we've had our government since before the foundation of the United States. We've had our government functioning since about the 1400s. So I think we fall under that, we fall under the other. The Supreme Court ruling is Carcieri v. Carcieri v. Salazar. He was the Secretary of Interior in 2008. Justice Thomas states that any tribe that is under the jurisdiction of the United States prior to the Indian Reorganization Act, which was in 1934, is a federally recognized tribe according to the laws and the treaties of the United States. So we are a federally recognized tribe. We do not back down from that. Whether the governor wants to say different, whether her assistants want to say different, they are not telling the truth. And so the reality is they are saying that those people that we know are buried or were buried on the land where they are wanting to put their prison, those are our family members. We know because we've been on that land. We've been in this county since the 1820s and the 1830s. We know where everything's at up there. There's nothing that can tell us that we're wrong because we have family traditions that go back that far. We have treaty rights and obligations that go back that far. The last thing that I wanted to mention is that the Arkansas History or Historic Preservation Program, it's a branch of the Arkansas government, has published a book called The Promised Land. The Promised Land is very specific about who moved here in the 1780s, the 1790s, the 1800s, the 1810s. It identifies us on page 4 through page 8 as the Chickamauga. Then sometime after page 7, page 8, they changed back to calling us Cherokee. We were not Cherokee. We were never Cherokee. We spoke the Cherokee trade language, but we can prove through church records, through the Jesuit relations papers, we can prove through archaeological and other historic documents that we were here when the other group that's in Oklahoma, when they were still in the Great Lakes and called the Chickamauga Nation, the long-tailed tribe. We are not them, and they are not us. And they have no right to speak on our behalf in this state because they were never here. Only people here were Chickamauga according to Cherokee Nation law. They are not Chickamauga, and we are not Cherokee. Chief Justin?
One of the things that has been a problem is the state has not offered to share with us an archaeological study on the intended prison site. They have been less than transparent about many things. This is one that is very important to us, and I would ask the individuals who have worked with the Franklin County Coalition as well as our senators, our local senators, Gary Stubblefield and Brian King, to place FOIA requests for the archaeological studies on that site. We need to know if our ancestors are buried there. We need to know if those were burial structures that are used for the prison gate. We have a right to know. These are our people. We've been here for, as I said, hundreds of years. I think that's probably the biggest issue we're having with the state is just their laundry list of excuses not to work with us. Chief Kirsch.
We can open it up for questions for a few minutes. If someone has questions that they would like to ask, we will try to answer your questions.
Justin, Chief, I have a question.
Yes.
Real quick, my name's Cody Sosby. We live up our family land borders that property.
Okay.
Early on, when we were seeing some of the things that Chickamauga were looking for, it was pretty quick just to get to our neighbors. Everyone had those stone box graves on their property. Everyone had found some of the artifacts and stuff that you had presented to us we'd seen online. How do we hold the governor and the staff and the people that are trying to move onto this land, how do we hold them accountable and make them show us that they're doing their due diligence to check for these graves and different artifacts before they start the construction?
Okay, you want to know how do we hold the state accountable for their actions if they are not going to do the archaeological studies required by law?
Yes.
At this time, they are of the opinion that they do not have to. Because if they're not going to release the studies, that means they don't have to. Okay. If they do not do it, the studies, they don't have to release them. And so the Department of Corrections has already said, hey, we've done these studies, and they haven't. The only things that they have ever released is site studies to determine water capability, visibility from the road, and other land uses. They have not done an archaeological study. So the Department of Prisons, as much as I hate saying it this way, is bold-faced lying to the public.
Yes, sir.
Someone else have a question?
I just have some. I live across the street. I know what goes in and out. They haven't been.
So we have a person here who lives in the general area, is able to watch what is going on at the prison entrance. And he just said that he has not noticed there being an archaeological survey done.
No, the bill. They've been over there. They see someone like me walking. That ain't happening.
And that's why Dr. Journey is such an important person. He has done these types of studies all over, from Washington State to California to Florida, up the East Coast, and everywhere in between. He's done this for numerous federal agencies, done this for numerous state agencies. He knows what he's looking for, and he is advising us of what to look for and what to find. We do know on the properties that are directly next to the prison, we have found stone box graves. We do know the properties right next to the prison, we are finding arrowheads. We are finding archaeological items that can date back at least 6,000 years before right now. And the state wants to just say it doesn't matter. Well, that's historical preservation. I taught Arkansas history in this state. I know what finding those types of things means to our history, but they want to wipe it under the rug and call it a done deal, that prison will go there no matter what. Yes, ma'am.
Will it bring any validity to studies of the perimeter around the prison if they can document those Cody's property and our property and anywhere else in the perimeter?
The question is, does the perimeter properties prove what's there? We do have affidavits and other proofs of what was on that property 50, 60, 70 years ago, when these people picked up the pottery, picked up the arrowheads, and still have them off of the prison property. So yes, we do have items there, and it's proven at other locations right next to it. Onion Creek is one of the most important archaeological areas out there. If you look at what Onion Creek actually is going to show, Onion Creek is important, and there will be more than likely archaeological finds all the way up and down Onion Creek.
Does testimony of finding arrowheads on the property help?
Does testimony of finding arrowheads and pottery on that property help? Yes, it does. It is a, as long as you have those items and can testify in front of a judge, make an affidavit that I found these items, then that is admissible.
How big is the perimeter that would contribute to documenting it? I mean, how big would the village be, or how big of a perimeter should we be looking?
Dr. Journey, how big would a perimeter of a village be, and how many different villages would occupy one big village?
The laws create a problem. I can be finding a site on government property, and when I get to the private property, I'm told to stop. As an archaeologist, I'm told to find the boundaries of that site. So I have a dilemma. Do I trespass? Do I break the law? Or do I use other information to judge where a site was? I would go to local landowners and find what's over the fence and record that as part of my site. Even though I'm not supposed to leave the reservation, no pun intended, I would attempt to find something beyond me having to stop my shovel probing there and say, well, we still had our artifacts, but we can't go over there and determine what's there. The landscape approach, where you treat all the land as a unified whole, which by using aerial reconnaissance we can begin to do today, even over private property, within reason. We can survey from the air, and we probably will have to at some point in order to save our resources, particularly when federal, state, or private entities refuse to respect human rights. There is state laws about unmarked burials. They're not following their own law. We report unmarked burials could be there. They have not done an archaeological survey to determine that. They deny access to the records because the Chickamauga are not on the Department of Interior list. They're lineal descendants of the people that are there. The law says lineal descendants have priority over a geographic tribe.
So does it help by any chance if we were to reverse and do the private properties?
You can fence them in, yes. Circle the wagons, pun intended, and get at them from all directions.
Many of the properties around here are cleared
Exactly
today.
what the landowners do, and they said they will not talk to anybody but landowners. So you need to go up to Fayetteville, march in and say, we own the land and we want to know what's there. What you have is our records. Because we cannot, because we're not on the list.
Many of the landowners are here today.
I, as a professional, can look at the records, but I've been told I cannot tell the lineal descendants what I see in the records.
Can we request it?
You can request it as a landowner, yes ma'am. They have to address the landowner. That is what his call said. Is that not right? The last call was, we will talk to Department of Interior list and landowners only. Only.
And so your question, I know where the property is at. It's right there on the highway. We do have landowners who are to the north, to the south, and to the east of that property that we can go and look on their properties. There is no way that when you look on your properties and you find these graves, when you find these other arrowheads, when you find the pottery, there is no way that there will be just a blank space where nothing exists in between those properties. They're going to be almost identical as far as burial sites, as far as pottery, as far as arrowheads and villages being there. It's going to be almost identical. Are there any other questions? I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank the press for being here today. I want to thank the Curtis Coffee Company. They stayed open late, so in case somebody wanted a cup of coffee. So thank you to them. And they've got great coffee. I got here at 1 o'clock so I could get a cup of their coffee. So don't forget about them. If you want to go and find the information we talked about today, it will be on ChickamaugANation.com on our website. And thank you again for being here.
I'd like to say one thing in closing in terms of the importance of historical preservation. There's a term that many people are familiar with, and that would be genocide. And a lot of people think that that is a one-step process, but extermination is just one of the steps in that 10-stage process. We have survived that. Our people have survived that stage. But what we're encountering today is dehumanization, polarization, and denial. And those are 3 other steps in the 10-stage process of genocide. So not acknowledging who we are through treaty, not acknowledging who we are through our burial remains, and using the media to defame and invalidate us. These are all a continuation of genocide in our eyes. Thank you.